Okay, for all of you out there who are arguing that Moe's swing is rotational, just because something is rotational does not mean it's complex. You have to have rotation. It's a must in the golf swing because the arms need movement, the arms need speed, and you need to have the proper sequence of events. And the club needs this rotational motion of the body so the arms can move around the body and produce speed. Now, we're going to look at two things in this video analysis of Moe from the top view. We're first going to look at rotation of the body. And obviously this is a video, and I have ways of doing this in 3D. You can actually measure this in 3D as well. However, it's very simple to do on video if you have this angle. So here you have a top view of Moe's swing. And what we'll do is I'll put a line on the ground, and let's just call this the target line as a reference point to see the axis of movement of the parts of the body. So we're just going to use this as a reference on the video screen as a reference for the axis of movement. And if you look at the torso and you draw a line shoulder to shoulder, and I'll just go straight through the shoulder blades here straight through the shoulders here, but if I go through the shoulder blades, you can see that his shoulders are already in a rotated position. So anybody who thinks there's not rotation involved does not understand biomechanics one single bit, because right now the torso is positioning itself in an open position at the very beginning, even before he's moved the body. Because if you look at the target line on the ground, that's what people would say square. So when you're talking about rotation, you have to talk about rotation relative to what? So I'm looking at that line down there. Now let's watch as Moe goes into a backswing. So as Moe takes it into a backswing, you're going to see, and I won't even go frame by frame here. I'm just going to go to the top of the backswing, and now I'll do this in a yellow line. You'll see torso rotation. Now you could measure that all day long, but if you look at the total amount of rotation from the start of that motion to the top of that motion, you're going to see roughly 80 to 90 degrees of rotation in that. So 90 degrees would be in here. That would be 90. So you're going to see quite a bit of rotation to the top of that backswing right in that motion. So let's just, and I've measured this many times, it's roughly between 80 and 85 degrees of rotation, but let's just call that 80 degrees of rotation just for sakes. So I don't know anybody out there who's saying Moe didn't have rotation in his golf swing. You must have rotation. By the way, one thing you can't see very well here is the pelvis, but obviously the pelvis is making a rotation about half as much as the torso down here at the bottom, which you can't see from this angle. So you're getting torso rotation. But let's continue here. And let's leave the yellow line up there, and let's move the body now all the way down to impact. Now this is obviously the frame rate of the camera is very slow. But now you're seeing the rotation of the torso increase even at this point. So now you're getting an opening of the torso even here. So it's more open than it even was at address. Now look at the two yellow lines. You're seeing rotation in the backswing and then rotation to impact. So from the top of the swing, and Moe here at impact has about 35 degrees of torso rotation open. So if you went from 80 to 35, that's 115 degrees of total rotation from the top of the backswing to impact. And then now let's get rid of this line here, and let's keep going. And once again, you have torso rotation again through release, and then here's this finish. And I'll just go finish off the torso rotation. So let's do this. Let's go address, and let's go to the top of the backswing, and we'll do that in yellow. And then we'll go finish, and we'll do that in blue. So the yellow line is a negative rotation, and the blue line is a positive rotation. You're seeing a massive amount of torso rotation. If you look at that, that is a total, it's a full rotation of the torso back and through. Of course, that's what produces speed in the golf swing. So anybody who's saying the swing is not rotational does not understand biomechanics. And Moe had, the purest biomechanics in his swing. Now, so there clearly is rotation in Moe's body when he swings a golf club. However, there are parts of his swing that are non-rotational relative to a conventional golfer. And this is what simplifies Moe's swing. So while his body is rotational in the backswing, as you can see, and in the downswing and through swing, as you can see, while the body is still has a rotating motion back and through, which allows his arms to move around him, Moe talked about the club going in and up. And there's parts of the body that move non-rotationally. Let me go to another. So now you have on the right-hand side of the screen, we have a face-on view of Moe's golf swing. Now, if you look at this part of the swing, and we'll talk about as Moe goes into his backswing, Moe would have said this is an inward movement of the golf club. It's an inward movement. Look on the left-hand side of the screen here, and that's this movement here. See the club moving inward. In other words, the club is moving in this direction, in an inward motion, okay? So there's that inward motion right to there. And then watch his right arm. So you're looking at the screen on the left-hand side. It's folding, and Moe said that's an upward motion. Okay, we get it. So the right arm moves up. So you got an inward motion, then an upward motion. So let's watch that on the screen on the right. You have the inward motion, and then watch the folding of the arm, an upward motion. All right. Now that's what's important about this whole sequence of events is when Moe was saying when his swing was in and up, when he didn't feel rotation, it's because when the arm is folding, the trail arm, and if you stand there and you do that, if you just fold your arm up and down, it moves in a non-rotational manner. And that's what's going on here. The inward and upward motion is a non-rotational event happening with the arm motion into the backswing. But the body, keep in mind, the body motion is rotating, and that's important. So when Moe made a downswing now, his body moved, he stabilized, he rotates his pelvis, he rotates his torso, and that trail arm goes from a folded position to a straightened, extended position. Now, another argument here is that the club, it's not right-sided. However, the lead side of the body is pulling. You can see it happen here. He stabilizes, and as he rotates, and there's no way to really pull with that arm without rotation of the torso. So as the torso rotates and it pulls the arm, then the trail arm engages and extends, just like you'd skip a rock. So golf swing is never one-sided. Because it's a rotational event, you rotate in one direction. This is the backswing, just like this. You rotate in one direction, and then you rotate in another direction, and the arms are doing two different things as well. The trail arm is folding in the backswing, and then it's extending in the through swing, just like you're skipping a rock. And that's occurring while the event of rotation is happening in the body. So don't get caught up in these theories where it's one thing or the other. It's all a pull or all a push, or it's non-rotational. Look, biomechanics is way too complicated to ever sit there and nail it down to one event. But there's a lot of reasons why Moe's swing is easier. And let me give you one more reason why Moe's has a non-rotational trail arm is because of this tilt he has in his body. When you have this much tilt in your body, look at his torso position. When you have this much tilt in the body, it lowers the trail shoulder and it puts the hand in a non-rotational event. So it's actually the side bend of his body that's allowing the trail arm to move without rotation. So once again, biomechanics, and if you look at the stuff and you understand the stuff, you can't get locked down into having these belief systems that don't actually show you what exactly is going on. And once you understand what is exactly going on, you can learn it and swing just like Moe.